world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful.
Welcome to the Red Pill Sports and Entertainment Show. This is a Red Pill morsel. Thank you very much for stopping by and listening up. Today we are getting into some of the news that broke over the last day or so, 2 days, of Deshawn Watson's case, particularly Tony Buzbee and his client having a press conference and talking about the allegations against Deshawn Watson. Now, red pill alert. If you have not taken your daily dose of red pills, now would be the time, because I am going to be talking about this from a contrarian point of view. 3, 2, 1. You better have taken your red pill. Okay, guys. So first and foremost, the first thing I want to talk about is the female that is accusing Deshawn Watson, the female that was in the press conference. I both listened to the press conference in its entirety, and I also watched the press conference in its entirety. I think this is really, really important to do. If you haven't done it, I really think you should. It will take up some time out of your day, particularly because it is an hour-long press conference. But bear with me here. First, I want to talk about the accuser and some of the things that, she did not say, okay? Throughout the entire portion of her statements, she talked a lot about how she felt. She talked a lot about, feeling afraid, feeling assaulted, feeling scared, things of that nature. She never gave any kind of detail regarding what exactly took place. The only mention sexually was she did mention that at some point Deshawn's penis touched her. Okay, that's what she said. Now, what that means, we are left to only speculate what that means. And I thought that was very, very interesting. I thought it was interesting that, there was no kind of account, there was no kind of really explanation of what's being alleged. So it leaves a lot to the imagination. Now, that could be because of the fact that there is a criminal investigation now, and that possibly the Houston PD would not take kindly to that. Maybe they would see that as interfering with ongoing investigation. But I found it interesting that she did mention a number of times about how this was now going to impact her ability to perform her chosen career, i.e. massage therapy. Now, the reason why this is interesting to note is that in a civil suit, that's going to be a key factor as in how much and whether or not she wins her case. Did the trauma keep her from making a living? That's a big, big deal. And how much is it going to impact her? If she can never go back to doing massage therapy, then you can assume that they're going to ask for the career earnings of somebody who was a high-level massage therapist. Given that she worked on Deshawn Watson, I would assume that she was considered a high-level massage therapist. Working out pro athlete, an active pro athlete is generally a indicator that in fact this person is of a higher quality in whatever field that they're working in. Tony Buzbee also marched out a parade of other females, which was interesting. At first, I thought every single one of the females in the press conference was going to have something to say about, that they were sexually assaulted. And as I looked at the females, one of the things that stood out to me, having researched and looked into sexual predators and the nature of most sexual predators, what stood out to me was, wow, these are all different sizes, shapes, shades, you name it, of women. This is odd. What do they all have in common? I guess it would only be that they were massage therapists. And then as Tony Busby introduced each of them, starting with the first one, I realized that no, these are not in fact victims. They were there to essentially lend some type of credence, some type of validity to the accuser's claims, allegations. You had somebody there that was from, the rape and sexual assault hotline or whatever in Houston. You had a nurse that deals with sexual assault trauma victims. You had somebody that was there for the human trafficking, which we're going to get back to. And, then you had, I believe there was one other female there, and I can't remember exactly what she spoke about off the top of my head, but essentially you get the gist. What Tony Busby and his client did here, okay? And again, this becomes very interesting to me. It makes me very cautious about wanting to trust what Tony Busby and his clients have to say. Is essentially what they did was they just presented their case to the jury of public opinion. Okay, they're setting up a narrative. And the entire narrative is essentially that, you must believe her, because if you don't believe her, you're victimizing more victims. And, that's not fair. And, if you don't believe her, you're minimizing anybody who's ever been sexually assaulted, which, is a fallacy. Okay. They're also, framing it to where somehow this is playing into human trafficking, and human trafficking is bad. And so therefore, if you don't believe her, you're supporting human trafficking, which is some kind of false equivalency. I don't even understand that. That's essentially what they've done. Further, Tony Busby, and this is something that is interesting to note also, he goes on to read a comment from one of the women. There was 18 other women who were massage therapists who had spoken out in favor of Deshawn, saying that they had always had very professional experiences with Deshawn Watson. He read a comment from one of them, and then he read a private direct message from one of them. Interesting. This female came on to a news program, a local Houston news program. This probably will not make the national media. Okay, she went on to a local Houston television program, and essentially she debunked Tony Busby and said, look, that's not what I meant. That text message was taken out of context. This is what I meant. This is what was being said at the time, and this is the reason why I stopped working with Deshawn, which had nothing to do with sexual assault, had nothing to do with rumors of sexual assault amongst clients, which is what Tony Busby seemed to try to imply via the direct message he read. And so overall, I just really am going to be very, very cautious. Now, what does this mean? It was something I picked up on. Okay, a couple of things I picked up on. As everybody talked, essentially it sounds like they all know that there is zero physical evidence that a crime occurred, that any kind of sexual assault occurred. There is zero evidence, and they're trying to justify why there is going to be no evidence, no physical evidence. You're going to essentially have a he said, she said for each instance in which there is no physical evidence, And there is simply the circumstantial evidence that yes, in fact, Deshawn Watson was alone with these women at some point in time, and there was opportunity for an assault to occur. However, that circumstantial evidence does not mean that Deshawn Watson in fact assaulted these women. Okay, that's plain and simple. Also, listening to these people talk, there was a point in time where one of them said, they were talking about the victims, and they were talking about, everybody deserves to be heard and not judged, and blah blah blah. Again, I find it very interesting that these comments are always made when it's in terms of a female coming forward with an accusation. It's never talked about in terms of the male when he's being accused. Now, I have no idea how guilty or not guilty Deshawn Watson is. I have no idea. What I do know is that I have been put in a position personally, not with sexual assault, but with physical assault, where somebody, a female, has completely lied about being physically assaulted by me. Just flat out lied. Flat out lied, knowing there was no physical evidence, knowing that the circumstantial evidence was very, very weak, yet they made the allegation. Why? Why did they make the allegation? Because they knew that they would get some of what they wanted. Some, not everything, but they're going to get some, and they know that. Tony Busby is not, this pure as a wind-driven snow attorney. Come on, let's be real, okay? He's a cutthroat attorney. He's going to do what he has to do to win his case. So the reality is that, I just find it telling, okay, that, this idea that, there's all this judgment of victims, but, and victim blaming, yet Deshawn Watson is the one that's suffering right now, right? Deshawn Watson, nobody's, as far as I know, I don't think this lady's lost her job. I don't think her father's lost his job. I don't think that her husband or her boyfriend has lost their job or lost some kind of, monetary earnings. Deshawn Watson has. He's lost earnings from Nike. He's lost earnings from Beats. He will, no matter how this goes, he will in fact lose money. He will not, most likely, I'd say it's about 99% now, that he will most likely not suit up to start the season. He will serve some type of suspension, at least 6 games. And that's on the conservative side. That's hoping things go well for Deshawn Watson. Now, all of this being said, the other interesting note is the fact that they brought in this human trafficker advocate, right? She's an anti-human trafficker advocate. She came in, she talked for a while. Some of the things she said kind of struck me as very odd, given this particular case, until I started to realize that maybe what's going to come out, because we did hear Deshawn say, and his team say, that originally this person tried to, how would you say, blackmail him, essentially, for some money. Then Tony Busby contacted him for a settlement, and then they filed suit. Now you have this human trafficker coming in and talking, and she's talking about essentially, mostly she talked about prostitution and how that plays into human trafficking and things of that nature. So I'm wondering, is what is going to come out in these particular investigations is that this is not so much a sexual assault case as much as it is a prostitution case. I'm wondering if the alleged massage therapists, quote unquote, that are coming forward as victims were in fact happy ending massage therapists, and that everybody knew it was all on the up and up, as far as everybody knew what was going on and what was expected. Okay. So in other words, Deshawn knew what he was asking for by asking for that massage. These ladies knew what he was really asking for when he is asking for a massage. And then it became, you know, well, hey, we can use this to make some money. And it became a blackmail situation. And now, okay, we got to go all in. Let's see if she also talked about like networks of, you know, human trafficking. So let's see if maybe this does not get even deeper. This might even get even deeper. There might be, because they almost seem to be a suggestion by Tony Budsby that through these social media apps is how Deshawn was contacting people, and a lot of it was through references. So I'm wondering if there's not a deeper story here. But that's what I got from the case. I suggest, or excuse me, from the press conference. I do suggest that you watch and listen to the press conference for yourself, see what you get out of it. And that's what I got for today's morsel, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, be practical, be purposeful, get it with a purpose, guys.
Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird.